Hello, dear health seekers. Inga from Health Origins here, and today we've got an exciting episode. I'm here with Sonya Wilder from SonyaWilderWellness.com. She's the lady that I've been telling you about, that she's kind of guiding me through my 14 days juice fast and also Parasite Cleanse. So, welcome, Sonia. Lovely to
Thank you,
have you in
Inga.
person to answer some of the questions I've been kind of throwing your way on email. So, we'll just do it there so people are also in the loop.
I know. Thank you. Thanks for agreeing to do this. I know I was like I guide so many people via email, and for those of my clients who have been working with me for many years in my Beyond Quantum healing sessions or my online healing sessions, or I do in-person healing sessions as well. They've done multiple cleanses. And so we'll just talk on the phone, or for the people that are my friends that I know, then I'll talk with them through cell or on the phone. And I mean, I've had a plethora of questions
Yeah.
throughout the years, but
Yeah.
you wanted to ask some questions. But first, what I wanted to share was that this is, and I shared this with you right before we started the recording. This cleanse is literally a compilation of a multitude of cleanses. And I want to share the origin of it that I'm aware of goes back
Yes.
to the natural hygiene lifestyle, which started in
Right.
Sweden. And I did not research the name of the man who started it. I can't remember it. If anybody knows, leave a comment. And Inga, and we're going to
Mhm.
put this on my YouTube channel too, Sonya Wilder Wellness. So if anybody knows the name of the man who is the one who created the natural hygiene diet and the natural hygiene cleanse, put it in the comments below. I want to know if people know, because he's the one who
Yeah.
started this back in the early 20th century. It might have even been the late 1800s that he did this cleanse, and it was literally watching everybody get so sick from, the Black Plague and the massive influenza pandemics that wiped out half of Europe, that kind of thing. He was Swedish, and he started this, and it was
Mhm.
all about water fasting. So there's a difference between fasting and cleansing. People say juice fast, but what my teachers, Dr. Gabriel Cousins and the Clements, Brian and Anna Clement of Hippocrates Health Institute, and Dr. Adiel Tel-Oren, et cetera, what they have said, and this is my experience with it as well, fasting is water only. You are taking a fast. You are not eating or drinking anything that is going to stimulate your pancreas to release insulin. You want to give your pancreas a break, because the
Mhm.
pancreas works so hard all the time when you're eating and drinking anything that has fructose in it, anything that is going to cause your body to release insulin. That includes tea, but that does not include minerals, because minerals are in water. So if you supplement with minerals, you're fine. No insulin release from your pancreas. A cleanse is literally trying to get as much fiber out of your diet as possible, because it's really hard to digest. Takes The stats are 52% of the body's energy to digest. I haven't looked at those numbers under a microscope hardcore, but Dr. Gabriel Cousins has. He's under the microscope all the time. So cleansing is liquid, as much liquid as possible. And so on a classic juice cleanse, like Dr. Gabriel Cousins juice cleanse, no parasite cleanses, no herbs, no powders, nothing. But if you go under Dr. David Jubb, that I studied with, who's a biomolecular scientist, and he's this most amazing guy. He's from Australia and New Zealand, and he's like way out there, but his cleanses are so powerful. He says powders are fine because you want to get a lot of bitters through your liver to clean out the liver, because bitter is what cleans out the liver. If you're a person
I
who,
think we're having a little bit of trouble. You kind of stuck a little bit. Can you hear me
oh,
still?
you just did, but I can hear you. You just froze now. It just came in. Okay, so we had a Zoom whoopee. So
Yes.
I call that a Zoom whoopee. It had a little pause. So I studied with Dr. David Jubb, who is New Zealand, Australian, and He's very controversial. I'm not a huge advocate for his diet, even though it's raw. It's raw plant-based, but his cleanse is amazing. And you know, my perspective on life is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, that old saying. You always
Pick
want to
what
study.
works for you, isn't it?
Well,
From whatever.
pick what really resonates with your
Mhm.
body. And so you've got to bypass your mind and you've got to go into your body. You've got to listen to what your body wants. And I'll go into that. I'm going to put a little like a mental note over here that we're going to do the pendulum test, because that's how to listen to the body, is the
Right.
pendulum test. So we're going to put that over here because we'll get to that in a
Mm.
moment. So, but that's the difference between cleansing and fasting. Cleansing is trying to get as much fiber out of your diet as possible for a minimum of 7 days. You're going to notice a huge difference after 7
Mm.
days. So you
I'm on
wanted,
day 7 actually. So
yay,
yeah,
how do you
so
feel?
yeah. So I'll once we talk about like some side effects and things, I'll drop in, how I'm feeling. But
Oh,
yeah, I'm
good.
here. And I haven't been really hungry or anything, so that's, good.
You won't be. The hunger's in the mind. So
Mm.
something that you and I talked about via email, and this is something that was written by the guy who created the natural hygiene lifestyle and diet and the cleanse and all of that. Fasting is for the mind, because especially water fasting, will your body totally benefit? Of course it will. Newsflash, the body doesn't need food every day. It's
Mm.
truth.
I know for sure that we don't need as much as we eat. That's one thing I know. We kind of eat way too much, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that kind of thing. We don't need that much food, really.
No.
Um, and I've told the story of Fiona Oakes. I don't know if you know the athlete, the vegan
Mhm.
athlete. She runs ultra marathons and all sorts of things, and even with a damaged kneecap, but she only eats one meal a day, one vegan meal a day. And she's absolutely got plenty of energy. She's fine. She's fit, obviously doing ultra marathons and stuff. So yeah, we don't need as much food as we think we do, or
No,
like
not at
we've been
all.
conditioned.
Well, there's the whole movement, OMAD, OMAD, 1 meal a day.
Right. I never heard of that one
That's,
actually.
well, yeah, look it up, OMAD. You'll find a wealth. You'll find so many YouTube vlogs on OMAD. And it's just an
Right.
acronym that just kind of popped up, I would say, in the last few years, that, it was a novelty when I started eating 1 meal a day back in 2011, when I came off of my long juice cleanse in 2011, early 2011. That's when I was like, I can't eat that much. And I'll preface this and then I'll go into my history. That way people know what,
Yeah,
because
I was
you
gonna
wanted me
say,
to
because
share my history.
yeah, so you led so many people through this, and so you mentioned a few doctors and
Yeah.
protocols you followed, but yeah, just
Yeah,
tell
I
the
will.
story a bit.
I will. So when I went on 1 meal a day, my body thrived. I've been on 1 meal a day mostly since 2011, and it's 2024 now. And I'm in my
Wow.
mid 50s. I love the whole sharing the age. I'm in my 55th year. And it works because you have to rest your body. Your body needs rest. Something that I suggest to everybody, and then I'll go into my history, because little tidbits come up and it's important that we like put them out there so that people get inspired. I really want to make
Mm.
sure that people get inspired to do this, because the cleanse seems so daunting to people. Oh my God, I can't stop eating my favorites, just like your vegan ice cream and your crisps. Like that's hard. Or like I glance at your channel, like vegan Twix. Things like that. I mean, that's totally
It's a
for the
treat,
mind.
it's not an everyday thing, but yeah, I
No, but
like that sort of
still,
thing.
like that's, when you can look at raw coconut yogurt as a treat and it completely benefits your body, then you're really on the health path. And when you shift
Mm.
it to, like, I'm eating a raw sprouted sunflower pate in a beautiful butter lettuce leaf, that's a treat. Yeah, like
Mm.
we want to switch the mind from thinking that modern industrial big agricultural junk food, and we're veganizing that, and we're thinking that that's a treat, because you and I talked about this via email a little bit. Instead, we
Yeah.
want to reprogram the mind, and the cleansing is a process of reprogramming the mind to, now I'm looking at things in nature like just fresh picked blueberries are a treat right off the bushes. Or,
Mm.
I grew my own watermelon, and oh my gosh, I get a treat of having my own watermelon that I grew myself, and it's organic. And, and here in America, we have the organic standards. I know you guys don't in Europe because your food isn't as poisoned as it is here.
Well,
Okay,
we still do have organic
do you?
organization that give a stamp. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good. That's good to know. I didn't know what I know that they're like, France doesn't have that kind of standard because they don't allow big ag practices in their
We
country, things
do.
like that.
We do have organic certified. Yeah.
Okay, good. So now, before I prattle on, I'm going to go into my credentials. So I started with cleansing and fasting when I was 20 in 1988. And I was on a standard American diet. I was born and raised in the Great Lakes states in the US. And you put cheese in everything that you eat in the Great Lakes states.
Mm.
It's all dairy up there. It's all pig and cow. It's not even chicken as much as it is pig and cow. And you eat all of that. And I was always sick. I just was constantly sick. I had chronic migraines starting at the age of 9. We thought that the cold and flu season was normal. Everybody gets a cold and the flu every year. And, the medical establishment says that's how you build your immune system. And I was super vaxxed, and my mom used to just give us aspirin. Like, it was candy. Oh, you got an acre of pain, take some aspirin, or sore throat lozenges. I mean, they were candy, basically. That was cough syrup,
Mm.
all of that. And my body was so sensitive anyway. I couldn't eat chocolate growing up. I didn't know the level of heavy metals that are in commercial chocolate. Are you aware of heavy metals in chocolate?
No, not at all. I'm
Yeah,
not a massive chocolate fan anyway. I'd
good,
rather have a cake if I'm, I'm gonna have something.
good.
But chocolate, no, I didn't know actually.
Most chocolate is not good for us at all. You have to find cacao that has not been alkalized and it
Okay.
hasn't been processed. And
So is the alkaline one bad, is it?
yeah, yeah, Dutch chocolate's really bad. It's filled with heavy metals, and yeah, it's not good. So that's a lot of times when people get headaches from chocolate, or if it's marketed as raw chocolate, it's really the heavy metals in it that they're getting sick from.
Yeah.
So this is becoming more known, especially here in America. It's becoming more known. There's a company in Santa Barbara, California called Santa Barbara Chocolates, and they claim that their chocolates have no heavy metals. They've tested them. They get from a reputable organic grower, maybe Ecuador, maybe Peru. I don't know. I would say, as a person who eats whole food, just go and get the cacao, like the actual fruit. And the cacao
Mm.
butter is actually, that's the part of the fruit, because what we think of as chocolate is really the seeds. And those are
Mm.
processed, they have to be fermented. There's a whole fermentation process to them. And the cacao fruit, it's a high fat fruit, just like avocado is.
Wow.
So good. And it's like, it's
So it's
juice.
like a
Delicious.
savory one, is it?
No, it's fatty and it tastes like chocolate, but that's what white chocolate comes from. White chocolate is from the fruit.
Mm.
It's from the fatty fruit. And it has a
Right.
very different flavor than the seeds, but actually get the cacao pod, eat the fruit, eat the whole fruit of cacao. Completely
Mm.
different experience, but you really need to go to the jungle for that. You need to go to
Yeah.
Hawaii, you need to go to the islands, you need to go to places where that actually grows. So anyway, let's go back to my credentials. So 20 years old, I'm living in New York City. I've trained for Broadway. I'm having a stage career. I'm dancing, I'm singing, I'm acting professionally. That's what I did before I came into the health world. And my body is so sick and it's so tired, and I'm expected to dance on stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. And I weigh too much. My body's really tiny. It's petite anyway. And I'm getting these migraines are increasing. They're getting worse, 3 a week. And my guides have always been very loud. And my higher self's always been very loud. And so in my sleep, it's stop eating and drink a bunch of lemon water. And they were adamant. And I was so desperate because I was so sick and I was doing all these shows. So I started drinking lemon water. I felt instantly better
Mm.
within one day. And I noticed it
Alkalining
wasn't
your
hard.
body, isn't it?
Totally. And I noticed that I mean, my body dropped weight and my body drops weight very quickly. So I dropped weight so fast and I had more energy. My energy went through the roof. My body slimmed down. And I noticed that my eyes looked clearer. I noticed that I've always had bags under my eyes, but I noticed that they started to clear out. And I got so inspired that it was like, and I would ask the guys, this always happened during my sleep. They would talk to me while I was sleeping. And so I would say, can I stay on this for a while? They'd say, stay on it as long as you want. But
Wow.
then after 3 days, 4 days, the ego comes in and starts craving. And so I was craving all of the junky, and I mean junk fried food, macaroni and cheese, all the pastas, the bread and olive oil, all of that. I was craving it. And so I was constantly battling with my mind. Now, this is the very first time I've ever done a fast. This is the first time I ever cleansed or anything. I also started eliminating. Like I had to go to the toilet so much. And it was sometimes painful, the gas and the bloating. And I was so gassy and bloated anyway. And I started to notice that, smell was so foul, super toxic. And then it was like, I noticed that what was coming out of my colon in the toilet was super slimy. There was a lot of mucus, and then there was some blood coming out in the stools. Now I had no
Just from
doctor.
lemon water.
So I had no doctor's supervision, nothing. This was literally my guides and my higher self that were guiding me through the whole thing during my sleep. And I would go to sleep and ask because I was going to sleep. I knew I could ask questions before I go to sleep. This is a recommendation to everybody. Please ask questions of your guides and your higher self. They can talk to you more easily in your sleep until you're more aware of them in your daytime. So I would ask questions like, okay, tell me, what does the blood mean? I'd wake up in the morning, I'd hear parasites in the stool, parasites in your colon. Oh gosh. I'm like, because I had worms as a kid. I used to eat sand in the sandbox all the time. And then I'd get worms. Then my mom had to give me enemas, like a lot. It's happened a lot. So I was used to intestinal parasites from the time I was like 3. So they said, go and get an enema bag. I didn't know what an enema bag was. So I went to the local drugstore. This was in Manhattan. And I found an enema bag. I was like, wow. So I bought it. They told me exactly what to do. They said, fill it up with body temperature water and administer it and flush it out and do that multiple times. Now, this was tap water, mind you. This was New York tap water. But nevertheless, I didn't know anything about distilled water or filtered water or anything. This was in the 80s. They didn't have filtered water then. So yeah, I started giving myself enemas and tapeworms came out in the toilet and the blood stopped. And I was like, wow. So then plastics were coming out of my body. Plastic, sludgy, nasty plastic stuff was coming out of my body from all the margarine that we ate in the 1970s. That was a big thing in America, was to put margarine on your toast. I had so much junk coming out of my body. So here was the pattern in my whole 20th year was like this. And I was modeling at the same time too. I was doing catalog modeling in New York, which I don't recommend to anybody. It was awful. But I was water. I wasn't technically fasting because I was putting lemon in it, but I didn't know the difference. I thought I was water fasting. So a week of lemon water, the mind, and then the dreams that I'm eating, and it's so real that I'm eating, then I wake up going, oh, I broke the fast. Oh my God. And then the guys would go, nope, this is your mind. So it would show me my mind. And I could actually taste macaroni and cheese in my mouth if it was that real. That was like a preparation for being a hypnotherapist, as well as I realized how powerful the mind is. So they kept saying, shift your mind, use this cleanse, use this fast. They were calling it fast. Use the fast to change your mindset. A week of lemon water, like a lot. Like I was peeing all the time. Like I don't even know how many. It was probably at least 2 gallons, which is, how many is that? Like 5-6 liters. It's a lot. And mind you, I wasn't stopping. I was auditioning for Broadway. I was doing shows. I was dancing like a lot while I was doing this. And then my body was just like going through these crazy changes. And I didn't know what to do. And I would crave protein. I would crave animal because I wasn't vegetarian yet. So I would break it with a chicken breast. I would just go out and buy a chicken breast and I would just pan fry it. Horrible, awful. But that's what I did. And then I would like get really grounded and settled. And then I would go, okay, I can't do that again. We're going to go back on it. So I would be on it for 2 weeks, lemon water for 2 weeks. And then the mind was so ravenous, chicken breast. I could extend the water fast as long as 3 weeks. That was it. And then chicken breast. This was my entire 20th year. This is how I ate and
Wow,
this is how I
3 weeks,
existed.
that's a long time just on water.
It
Gosh,
was a water
Sonia.
fast. It was amazing. I cleaned out so much. My skin it glowed. It glowed. I noticed that my eyes went from gray to back to their blue color that they were when I was a small child, because this will affect this affects the iridology. There's that whole
Wow.
practice of
Can
iridology.
I ask a question
Oh, of course,
with you?
please do.
So, you know, I understand that we need to kind of be careful of what we do with like the fasting and things, that we need to follow the proper. I know you were just experimenting and doing your own thing,
Yep.
but I just wonder, like these kind of long water fasts, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, do they not actually damage your metabolism or slow down, your metabolism and things like that, slow down going forward, because obviously body is kind of almost, in starvation mode, and it thinks, well, once you have food, that it'll start store it more. That's kind of what I've read or I've heard, like if you starve yourself on these like starvation diets where you reduce the calories or whatever, like completely severely limit them, or even maybe water fasting, that once you go back to eating normally, then your body thinks, oh, I better like pile on the weight and the fat for next time this might happen. Anything to say to that?
It does, except it depends on how much weight you have. How obese are you? Have you eaten a lot? Do you weigh at least 10 pounds over what your healthy weight is for your height? That kind of thing. I was 25 pounds overweight. I had been eating a tub of commercial ice cream almost every night for years. I was eating fast food. I ate McDonald's. I was coming off of that. So for me, I wasn't where I'm at now. I was chubby. It fit in my body well. I have an hourglass figure. I was at the time I was 5'4", and I was petite, super petite. I have a petite bone structure. It totally worked for me. This was something that this was an absolute spiritual journey that my guides said, you have to do this. You have to. And I had no guidance except for inner authority. I only had what was going on within. And when I listened, it felt amazing to me. It was incredible. But I made mistakes. I was still breaking it with a chicken breast, and then I'd go back on it. I never felt like I was starving. I felt like my mind was like going through this reconfiguration. It was so mental for me. The whole thing was so mental. So when I was done with the 20th year, back then in the 80s, anorexia and bulimia, eating disorders, were so pop culture. It was such check her for eating disorders. And my parents got really concerned because I was talking with my mom every day then. And my parents lived in Chicago in the Midwest at the time. And I would go back and spend a couple of weeks with them in Chicago. And my mom was really, really concerned for me. So my parents sat me down and said, you're going to have to get off of this. This was at the end of my 20th year. You're going to have to get off of this, or we're going to put you in some sort of an eating disorder rehab. You have to. So I said, fine. So I got off of it, and the guide said, only eat plants. So, but they weren't telling me specifically what to eat. So I started eating a lot. I went vegan like almost immediately. And by the time I was 23, I was completely vegan. And there was no vegan back then, Inga. There was no vegan in 1989, 1990. You were a vegetarian, and they were like, so vegetarians ate a lot of dairy. You were ovo-lacto. And
So you were a trendsetter.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody else that stopped eating all animal. It didn't work for my body. I had a doctor that I went to, a gynecologist that I had gone to see finally, my mom's gynecologist in Chicago. And he said, with all the migraines, as soon as I started eating, they kicked in again. Because I wasn't eating good food. I was eating processed. And I was eating a lot of trail mix. I was eating a lot of what is in the bulk bin that has a lot of sugar in it in a health food store. Carob coated roasted peanuts, carob coated roasted almonds, carob coated raisins, dried fruit. I was eating rolled oats and dried fruit. I was eating with honey drizzled all over the top. I was eating a lot of sugar. It might have been vegan, but it was not healthy vegan. And that's what I thought my options were. And the doctor that I went to go see said, why don't you try not eating any dairy? And I had gone back to dairy right after I was done with this 20th year. And so I said, okay, he said, studies are showing that dairy is one of the leading causes to migraines. So I stopped eating dairy and my migraines reduced dramatically. And I was like, oh. And then he said, you're probably lactose intolerant, and said, go get a test. So I went and got a blood test finally in my 21st year. And it turned out I was lactose intolerant and I was allergic to shellfish, which I never liked. I was allergic to most fish. And it's really the heavy metals that we're really allergic to is what it is. So many heavy metals in the ocean. So that's when I started moving towards vegan. It was a couple steps back and a few steps forward. It was like that. I wasn't perfect. 23, last migraine from eating something that had cow's cream in it at a restaurant that was supposed to be vegan, and they had some vegetarian options. Got the vegetarian option, didn't know it had cream in it, smelled it right away. I was like, oh my gosh, I think there's dairy in this. I ate it, migraine, bam, next day I was plowed over. I said, okay. So 23, which was in the early 90s, vegan the whole way, not cleansing. Fast forward to I'm pregnant at age 28. I'm with my children's father. I'm married, newly pregnant, and we're junk food vegans. We're a junk food vegan family. And I'm nursing him, and then I'm done nursing, and my whole body's like, I've eaten so much food. I can't eat all this food. I decided to cleanse. So I decided to just drink juices for 3 days after I'm done breastfeeding. I felt so much better. This went on with each pregnancy. I had 3 kids, all born at home, naturally in the water, all 3 of my kids vegan, and would do, after I was done with Colby, my oldest, actually it was with my middle child, Mars, I did a water fast for 1 day after I was done nursing. And I had to wait till Mars was 2 because Mars was a late nurser. Water fast for 1 day. I'm like, oh, relief. And it kept getting me to go back into doing the cleanses and the fasts again. Kyan, my youngest, I'm 36. I birth him. I get to 38. He's done nursing. I'm done. Water fast 2 days. Feel great. And bam, I'm like, something's to this. I have to do this more. Fast forward to 2007, my sister dies of non-smoker's lung cancer, January 13th, yes, of 2007. And she said to me on her deathbed, you have to go into this. You're so into health and nutrition. And I wasn't a nutritionist yet or anything. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was a full-time mom for 15 years, bad marriage, all of that. And she says, you have to do this. I said, Julie, you have to guide me. I can't see on this ground level everything. You guide me from the other side. She said, I will. And she did. She guided me to the Cell Rejuvenation Center, where I met Dr. Gabriel Cousins and Dr. David Jubb and the Clements from Hippocrates. They were going there to do workshops. It was a hot yoga, colon hydrotherapy, raw food nutrition center in Portland, Oregon. And so I went and I came in. They had a trade job for me. You come in and you work this job, and we can do trading, and we'll give you colonics, and we'll educate you about nutrition and the whole thing. Everything was handed to me, literally handed to me. Everything I'm doing now, I never had to pay for a course. It was paid for me, it was given to me, all of it. Yoga teacher, training, all of it. And I'm giving you the quick on this, otherwise it'll take us the next 5 hours to share all the details. But so I studied, my first workshop was with Dr. Gabriel Cousins. Amazing. He's incredible. It's like being in the room with an ascended master. He's very humble, but his auric field is so expansive. And all he was drinking was Rejuvelac, which is fermented wheat grass juice, like a wheat berries, fermented wheat berries. So, and you can do that with any grain. You can ferment them and they create Rejuvelac. So he was drinking Rejuvelac, and he said all he had eaten for 5 days was a shot of wheatgrass juice. He is a very powerful man. He's 80 now. He is a Kundalini yogi master. He is a chiropractor and an Ayurvedic doctor. He's American. And his and on my channel, I'm going to put his link for the Tree of Life .nutrition. That's his center in Patagonia, Arizona, with the Sundance Indigenous tribe. He's up there. It's in the high desert. He's absolutely amazing. And I have not been there. I studied with him while I was here in Oregon. He would come here for workshops, but I did go through his nutrition program. He's written multiple books, 2 which we had to read: Spiritual Nutrition and then Conscious Eating. And he's amazing. And he's constantly testing. He tests your blood. He's testing your tissue samples. He's testing everything. We had to look under a microscope at our own cells, at our own blood, at each other's cells all the time. We were seeing how food was affecting our body, how juicing was affecting our body. And it's a myth that your body will go into a starvation mode after 3 weeks of only water. No, it won't. Your body will thrive. It has to clean out. 40 days is the max. There are some people, actually, it's been documented, Inga, that have gone 60 days on a water fast. I don't recommend it, but just as also a disclaimer here for this, because none of this is medical advice. This is all just my experience. And this is other people's experience of my clients and my teachers, is that if you're going to do a long water fast, that means longer than 3 days. If you want to do 3 days on your own, you'll be fine. If you want to do longer than 3 days on a water fast, you need supervision at a water fasting clinic. There are 2 really great water fasting clinics in the world. One is in Costa Rica. That's Tanglewood Wellness Center with Lauren Lockman. I've actually done a Zoom live Q&A with him. He's a wonderful man. He's from America. He lives in Costa Rica. And
Tanglewood, what did you say?
Tanglewood Wellness Center, TANGLEWOOD, Tanglewood Wellness Center in Costa Rica. Lauren Lockman. He is a fasting expert. He's also a fruitarian. He's a raw foodie. He has been for a long time. He's much older. He's in his 60s, I believe, at this time of our recording. There's another one that's in Arizona, but they only do 10-day water fast. I'm not affiliated with them. I've never worked with them, so I don't know. But they're long-term. They have a long-term reputation. They've been around a little bit longer than Lauren has. And they do.
What's it called, the other one?
I don't know.
Right.
You'll have to look them up.
Arizona.
In Arizona, in the US. You'll have to look them up. Fasting Cleansing Center, water fasts in Arizona.
Yeah.
Because I'm not affiliated with them. I don't know. I've never been there. But I have worked with Lauren, and he's incredible. So Lauren does a minimum of 14-day water fasts, and he'll go all the way up to 40 days with people. He has everything's documented. So if you go to his YouTube channel, Lauren Lockman, you will find all of his testimonials. There's a vast testimony. He teaches classes during people's water fasts. He literally re-educates people on what the body is, what the body needs, what cleansing is, what fasting is, everything. He's got all the facts. You would love his channel because he's going to give you all those answers that you're always looking for. He's got it down. He's got the science, and he's also going to tell you what Big Ag and Big Pharma is doing.
How do you spell Lauren, by the way?
Loren, Lauren.
Lauren, yeah. Okay.
Lauren Lockman.
Yeah, just a quick one. Dr. Cousins, what's the first name of
Gabriel, like Archangel Gabriel.
Gabriel. And you mentioned 2 books. Can you just recap the 2 books?
Conscious Eating is one of his books. These are like encyclopedias. These are thick. And then Spiritual Nutrition. You can find these on his site, Amazon, anywhere. They're anywhere.
Are
They're
they on Audible? That's my question
They
because I like
probably are.
Audible.
They might be, but you're gonna want to get the books. These are books that are keepers. These are foundational books to have in your library as a reference because they're textbooks.
Wow.
And this is what you have to read. He doesn't have his nutrition program anymore, but this is what you have to read when you're in his nutrition program.
Mm.
And it's very powerful. And you're looking under a dark field microscope. Got a dark background, so it shows you how much life force is in your cell.
Yeah. Mm.
It's
Fascinating. A lot of things
incredible.
to research and look up.
So much.
Um, but so it's actually interesting because my husband is really alarmed with me doing this juice cleanse,
That's
as
just
I
lack
was
of
saying.
education. That's all. That's okay. That's normal.
Because I guess we watch some doctors saying, if you don't know what you're doing with like these not low carb, low calorie even stuff, you can like damage your metabolism, for like future and things like that. So
Yeah.
with like juice cleanse being so obviously not very rich in calories, we were just
You're
thinking
getting
whether it
so much from the juices. You're getting all their life force. The juice, the water inside is their life force.
it's
So that's what you're getting.
energy, isn't it? It's not
So
necessarily calorie.
it isn't about calories. So if you were to do a blood draw right now while you're on this, if you drink a liter of green juice and then you do a blood draw and you squirt out a little bit of your blood on a little slab, put the little glass over it and stick it under a dark field microscope, you're going to see that your cell is pretty lit up.
Mm.
It's much more vibrant than it was before you started this.
Right.
Yes,
I
totally.
must say, at first I was feeling a little bit tired for a few days, but now not so much. I think I just feel cold. Is that normal?
Yes, that is normal. So let's go for that in a minute. So I
Mhm.
then, after working with Dr. Gabriel Cousins, then Dr. David Jupp came in and we worked with him a lot. And then the Clement doctor, Dr. Brian was coming out more. I only met Anna Clement once, but Brian Clement used to have a clinic on the Oregon coast over here, not far from where I live. So he was coming out to Oregon a lot. And then Dr. Adiel Tel Oren, I don't think he has his clinic anymore. He's got Ecopolitan, which is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But Dr. Tel Oren, he goes by Dr. T. You'll find him on YouTube, Dr. T. And those are older, but he's originally from Israel. And he's a vegan. I don't know how raw he is. I'm sure he's mostly raw. He's got a wealth of information. And so they were all coming out here to Oregon because we had this large enough group of raw vegans that we were asking them to come out. And so they were coming out and giving us workshops continuously. And we were learning so much. Then after that, I decided to go to an institute. So there was an institute and they closed. I'm like, this is the problem, is that big pharma will try to close a lot of these schools down because it's a threat to their income. I went to the American Institute of Natural Health in Phoenix, Arizona, and we studied colon hydrotherapy and nutrition and fasting and cleansing. So I lived down there for the preliminary parts. My kids lived with my parents here. And then I came back up and I was able to do the rest of my schooling with them through hands-on and mentorship with some of their students who had graduated and were living here, and they mentored me. And I went through that program for a year and graduated and was certified. And then I started practicing colon hydrotherapy, literally with a machine, a closed system on the wall, and giving that, and then starting to bring clients through fasting and cleansing. And at first it wasn't the 14-day juice cleanse. I hadn't really created that, and I didn't feel confident enough in that. I was on it myself. I did 4 of them, and it was right in that time period. And I was 100% raw vegan. And my energy just was so amazing. I was in my late 30s. I had 3 young kids, and I was working people out as a personal trainer in Pilates and yoga. So I was doing a lot, and I wasn't eating much, and I didn't want to eat much, but because my body's so thin naturally, people were getting really scared looking at me being thin, and yet I was super fit. And because everybody in the area that I'm at, people are really unhealthy. There's a lot of obesity here. So the extreme contrast of seeing how healthy I was getting to on how obese they were was a lot. It was very interesting. So I went through that, and that's when, I started compiling the 14-day juice cleanse out of my experience with it in 2010. No, late 2009. I went on my fourth 14-day juice cleanse. I knew enough of how to do it without having guidance from Dr. Cousins, Dr. Jubb. They were the first doctors to guide me through them. And all of the people that ran the center that I was in. I just felt so good on it. It was my fourth one, which was within a year. I just felt like, why do I need to eat solid food right now? I have so much energy. I have so much I have to do. Taking time to eat is just so time consuming. I'm working with clients. I've got my kids. I was partially homeschooling my children. I had a bad marriage. I was trying to figure out what to do with that. And the guides just said, stay on it for a while. There was no timeline. It was just stay on it for a while. I had no hunger. So I stayed on the 14-day juice cleanse. I probably drank about a gallon of green juice, and it just ended up being the same green juice every day. Cucumbers, celery, parsley, cilantro, basil. I had basil to keep my insulin really balanced because it helps with blood sugar, and a tiny bit of sour apple, Granny Smith apple every day. And then, I put ginger in it sometimes. Every day. That's all I did was drink green juice, and did colonics every week. Every week I started.
No kale? You didn't add kale?
Sometimes I did, sometimes spinach, sometimes I did greens. That was the only thing I varied, was sometimes ginger, sometimes greens, sometimes not. Sometimes it was just the herbs. Sometimes that's all I wanted. And I had so much energy, I could just keep going, and my body dropped down to a very low weight, but I felt so good. So I was like, it was in this dichotomy of, I'm really thin. I was working out, I was pumping iron. My body was super lean and sinewy, and people were very scared around me because I was thin. But my eyes cleared up. The whites of my eyes got so white. My skin got so healthy, it was glowing. I had this, the beauty, like I don't wear any face makeup. So my skin had this wonderful rosy glow to it. And I just noticed my body got really, really healthy. And through the weekly colonic, I was doing a once a week Saturday colonic. I do a colonic every Saturday. And that's different than an enema. A colonic is at least 2 bags that go in and out. An enema is 1 bag. You're just clearing out literally the bottom of the descending colon, which is called the valves of Houston. That's it. But if you do a full colonic, you're getting all the way up into the transverse colon, and you keep going. If you still have fecal matter, if you still have stuff trapped there, then you keep going only for as long as 45 minutes. A colonic lasts for 45 minutes. Anything after that, you start losing electrolytes. You start losing vital gut bacteria, so no longer than 45 minutes. But you just keep doing bag after bag of filtered or distilled water. No coffee. People ask me about coffee. Coffee, they're called coffee implants because you do them at the end of water. This is how coffee enema goes. This is how coffee colonic goes. You use filtered, purified water in and out, in and out, in and out, until you're only seeing clear water in the toilet at the end. You have already reached your cecum, which is the very beginning of the ascending colon at the bottom of the right inner hip. Once you get down to there, because that's where parasites will hide, because that's where we uptake B vitamins and vitamin K. That's the last place that in the digestive system, where we take in nutrients. And then once everything starts to move up towards your transverse colon, your body's then taking all the rest of the water from your waste, and then it's ready to be dumped. It's coming around, it's going around to the left side, it's ready to be dumped. So you want to get all the way to there. Once all that's coming out of your rectum is water, then you have a cold pressed coffee, not brewed coffee, has to be cold pressed, organic only coffee. That's sitting in a separate bag. And then it's very easy just to lay on the floor on your back, put your legs up, have the bag with the spout, and let that come right into your colon. That will go all the way down to the ascending colon, to the cecum. And then that will be taken in up through the small intestine, and the caffeine in the coffee will dilate the sphincter of ODI, that connects to your liver through the small intestine. That will dilate it, it will open up, and your liver then can dump out any bile stones, bile occlusions that are in there, the waxy, plaquey stuff. That's what a coffee implant is for, and only for that. That's it.
At the end.
But you can get rid of the stones in your liver through bitters and castor oil packs. You don't have to do the coffee implant, because coffee implants can get addictive.
Mm.
Just know that.
Caffeine, yeah. I was going to ask, what's the castor oil is, for in this juice cleanse, because you said it's like on days 3, 4, and 5, and then on days 9, 10, and 11, I believe.
You want to lie there with the castor oil pack over your right side, and you can actually put it right across your belly because your liver is so huge. It does go all the way across to the left. So castor oil is an anti-inflammatory. It is one, like frankincense essential oil, it is like one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory little beans, the castor bean, that you can ever use. And the oil is really, really thick and tacky.
Yeah.
It's extremely absorbable by the skin. Remember, the skin is an organ. The skin is a speaker for your liver. If your liver is toxic, it's going to show through on your skin. Your skin's going to have breakouts, rashes, eczema, psoriasis, cysts, tags, anything. That's showing you that your liver has got heavy metals, parasites, plastics. And this isn't just from eating it or drinking it. This is from breathing it in. Factory emissions, chemtrails, emissions from exhaust of the vehicles around the world. This can also be from toxic thoughts. There's the mental component. Toxic thoughts, and also repressed emotions, because emotions are energy in motion, and you've got to express your emotions to be healthy.
I have a quick funny question. Somebody told me, right, talking about castor oil, that if you rub it on your butt cheeks, you'll get like a really nice sensation or something. I wonder if you've ever heard, and what's it for?
That's hilarious. I don't know that one, Inga.
Apparently it feels like really good or something. I've tried it, one day. I was like, oh, let me try it.
I don't know that one.
Feel anything, but apparently it's like a really nice sensation or something.
That's hilarious. I haven't heard that one at all. That's new. I always love learning something new about what people do and their health practices. I don't know. So castor, I sleep with a castor oil pack on my gut every night. It will reduce the gas and bloating. It will help your colon to flush out in the morning very, very easily.
So would you say do it for the 14-day juicing, or also for pre and for post as well?
I would do, if you have got gas and bloating issues, if you're constipated, I would be sleeping with a castor oil pack on, and you just get that wool flannel. I just open it up enough. And I literally take the castor oil, and only organic castor oil is essential.
Well, actually, I've got like a little special thingy.
That's great.
Things, so that's
with
kind
the
of,
straps.
I find it like it's easier,
It is easier. I love that they make those now. Those are new. They just started making those. Those are awesome. I don't have one of those, but I need to get one. Those are great.
It's actually much, much better. When I tried with the plastic wrap and like with the,
I don't do plastic. I literally have an old pair of high waist shorts from my yoga shorts that I never wear. They wore out, but I love them.
Oh.
They're really high. They have a flap that you can fold over, like to tuck in the belly. I just keep the flap up, and they're elastic. And I literally I put the castor oil on my belly. So you want to put castor oil in your navel every day. This is Ayurvedic.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
You're going to
in the belly button, you mean, yeah?
In the navel. You want to put castor oil in your belly button every day. I do twice a day. After shower, in my navel, and before sleep, in my navel, and then all the castor oil around. Why? Because the vagus nerve runs behind the navel, and the vagus nerve runs from root chakra all the way down behind the ovaries and uterus, or for men, the prostate, and all the way up to the heart. And you want to reduce the inflammation in the vagus nerve. A lot of people's gut imbalances come from a clogged or an inflamed vagus nerve. Castor oil is the key for that.
Wow, that's so
Oh, yes.
interesting.
The
Yeah, I'll have to
vagus
do
nerve is
that.
huge.
Incorporate into my shower routine.
I use Jamaican black castor oil in a dark brown glass bottle. I only use castor oil in a glass bottle. It's what I recommend. Don't get it in
That's what
plastic
I
because the
got.
oil will
Organic
absorb.
castor oil in the brown glass bottle. Yeah.
Good. I like the Jamaican. I like the brown color. Some people like clear castor oil. It just depends
It's
on what you're.
it's actually clear, the oil itself, but the bottle is brown.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
But Jamaican castor oil from Jamaica, it's a specialty castor oil. They sell it
Right.
here in the States all the time. It's brown. The oil is dark brown. It's in a
Okay.
brown bottle. Yes, it's from Heritage Store. Heritage Store is the big castor oil company. They're the original family-run company, and they've been going for like 50 plus years. Heritage Store. You can find them everywhere. So I use their castor oil. I can find it in my store here, but you can find it on Amazon or their store as well, online, heritagestore.com. And I'm not affiliated with any of these people. I've just been using them for so long that I have to support them, especially if they're
Yeah.
small
So
family.
why do you like the brown better than like the clear?
I like the smell. It's very earthy, and I just like, there's something about its frequency, Inga, that I just really, really love. There's something about it that's just like, oh, it's so soothing. There's
Yeah.
something about
I
it. I
just
think it
thought
is
the clear one is a bit easier. It doesn't stain clothes, or do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. I
I
wonder
totally
that's,
get it.
like more comfortable, like easier
Sure.
for people, but yeah.
Sure, I totally get
Hmm.
it. So I do that, and I don't use the plastic over it. I just use the old shorts and flip them up and lay there. I don't do a hot water bottle at night. I literally just sleep with, I use my hand to put the castor oil and rub it around and around, going clockwise so that I can it release the digestion in the morning. I put the flannel over, I flip up my shorts, and I go to bed just like that.
See, so would you recommend putting castor oil on me rather than the pack and then putting the pack on? You would say
Yeah.
put it on yourself,
I
right?
would.
And
I
then
would say
just
put it
put
on
the
your skin with your hands, and it's super moisturizing, and then it's a great lubricant for your hands. Put it on your skin.
oh,
Your skin loves castor oil. I use castor oil on my face. It's my moisturizer with a coconut cream. I have a coconut cream face cream that I get that's been blessed, and it's got monatomic gold in it. It has borax in it to alkalize. It's got a bunch of stuff. It's got unrefined extra virgin olive oil in it. This is my face cream, and then I take a little bit of the castor oil and I mix it in with the cream, and that's what I do
so
at
what
night and during the day. That's
so
my
what's the
makeup.
yeah, so what's the cream? Who makes your cream?
It's a company in Vegas that makes my cream, but you can make it yourself. You can make it with coconut cream, extra virgin olive oil. If you like shea butter, you can do that. I'm not a big fan of shea butter for my skin, but you could use it with that. And then monatomic gold. What else does she put in it? It's made by a one woman who's really, really small. And then it has borax in it, which we get from the Salt Lake City, this Great Salt Lake bed area is borax. Borax is alkalizing. So it reduces acidic pimples and blemishes on your skin.
Yeah. So you said coconut cream, shea butter, borax, monatomic
Oh,
gold,
don't
and
forget the
was
extra virgin olive oil. I don't use shea
extra
butter. I
virgin.
use
That's the
extra
one.
virgin olive oil. Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to put cacao butter in it, you could also put cacao butter, like do another fat with the coconut. So not just coconut fat, like two different fats together, and you can find what your skin likes, whether it likes extra virgin olive oil. Mine does, it's more absorbable for my skin. If your skin likes shea butter, do that. If your skin likes cacao butter, do that. Don't do cocoa butter, do cacao butter.
Yeah.
That's the fruit.
I've heard jojoba butter, sorry, oil is quite good for your
It
skin
is.
because it almost mimics exactly your
Yeah.
skin.
It does.
Um,
It has a chemical constituent which is very similar to human sebum, which is so I find jojoba oil is really good for your scalp. It's in my conditioner bar that I use, is jojoba oil.
hmm.
That's really, really good for your hair and your scalp.
So when you say coconut cream, is that from the tin of coconut milk then? From the
Mm-hmm.
top of that?
I just buy coconut cream. That's what I would get. I would get whoever's
Oh, like
making, like it's
cream,
been
like
whipped up, coconut
right.
cream. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
interesting. So
So it's the
all
oil and the
pretty
fat
much,
together.
it's all pretty much edible almost.
It's going to be hard on your liver to eat that. The whole point
Yeah.
of this, Inga, is to give your liver a break because, and I want to share this too, the whole point of this is longevity and the quality of your life. What's the
Mm.
quality of your life? Because if the quality of your life is really joyous and passionate, and if you feel good in your body and your body feels good, you're going to want to be in your body instead of disassociate and sit up here and from trauma.
Mm.
You want to be in your body and you want to have an amazing quality and quantity of life. So that's the
Yeah.
whole point of this.
Yeah. Actually, I've just realized we're kind of come up to an
I
hour,
know
really.
we have. So ask me your questions. Otherwise, we're gonna.
Yeah, I know it's so fascinating, all these things. But so did you say you were on this actual juice cleanse for a year and a half or something?
That's what I didn't get to. Yep. I was on it turned out to be, I was on the juice cleanse for a year and a half. Was not
Wow.
planned, wasn't
Did
timed.
did you have energy on it though? You know, like,
Yep.
and did you feel cold or
I
not?
did from time to time. And I knew that my body would adjust because I live in the north. I live in the Pacific Northwest and it gets really cold up here. I was living in Portland at the time and it rains 9 months out of the year in Portland. So
Mm.
I got used to it. I had, wool socks and wool sweaters. And I'm also so active. I work out all the time. I was teaching Pilates and yoga. I had 3 kids. I didn't sit down much except for to go to bed. Here are the things that I noticed that improved for me. Sleep, number one. Sleep was shorter, deeper, sounder. So I didn't need to sleep as long. And when I did sleep, it was intense. 6 hours of intense sleep. I woke up much more well rested. All of my senses increased, including, and I'm a practicing psychic medium. All of my psychic senses, the clairs, also increased. So my sense of smell is already super hypersensitive, it's very psychic. That increased more. So I could literally smell a guy and that he had been eating onions and garlic across the room for me at the gym.
Mm.
And we were
Well,
far away
I've
from each other.
yeah, I've noticed I've kind of felt energy more yesterday because I was in my energy enhancement center,
Mhm.
and there was a lady that was staying overnight, so we stayed overnight, and she brought this massive quartz crystal which we put in the center of the room. And I felt the energy like crazy, just like I think it intensified it. And I normally don't feel much energy in when I'm in the room, but that was yesterday. But I think it was because I'm on the juice cleanse and, obviously the crystal increased it as well. I just felt the energy so much.
You will. You will. All of my senses, my vision improved. I've never had really great vision, and it's definitely not improved since my body's gotten older. But these are not prescription glasses, these are just readers. But I do yoga guy exercises every day and I intermittent fast every day. So that's definitely kept me from having worse vision. But on a year and a half of a juice cleanse, vision improvement like crazy. My eyes became blue, green, and violet colored from being on that cleanse. And everybody
Wow.
was noticing it. My body had mercury poisoning from the fillings in my teeth and I'd had them removed. Most of them removed and they weren't removed properly. So then I started losing my hair because the mercury went to the hair follicles. So that's when I started urine therapy. And you and I can do another talk someday about urine therapy. It's
Wow.
something that I
Yeah, that's,
practice. It's really
oh
powerful. So I started
gosh.
practicing
Yeah.
urine therapy in 2010. Yes,
Mm.
and that helped me to get my hair back.
Wow.
It
You
was
would,
very, very
for
powerful.
me, it's like strange to think that something that's come out of you actually can be good for you. Do you know what I mean? To
I
kind of
know.
ingest again type thing.
I know. It's amazing when your body gets really clean, your urine actually is like a homeopathic remedy for you. You can actually build your
Mm.
immune system from your first morning's urine. So, and
Wow.
we'll talk about that another time because that's a
Yeah.
hot topic
I
and people,
know.
and
It's a whole new topic again.
it is, and it's so trending right now. People ask me so much because I did a vlog on it on my channel and I've commented on other people's channels about urine therapy that they're practicing it. And I just got a myriad of questions barraging me through YouTube about how long, but what do you do on it? What's the technique? So I've guided a lot of people into urine therapy as well, and it does work. But I had to practice urine therapy to get my hair to grow back. And I literally saw when I was a year and a half on the juice cleanse, I thought they were warts that were coming up in my forearms. And I literally just dug in and I peeled the skin back myself and dug in. I have a high pain threshold. So I literally did my own surgery and pulled out with the tweezers this little gray chunk that looked like granite. And I sent it to a lab to have it tested. I wanted to know what was coming out of me. It was mercury. It came up positive for mercury, and it had come from my teeth. So that came out during the 1.5 year juice cleanse. All my senses, my sense of hearing got so acute. All my psychic senses, I started seeing way more. I started seeing people's chakras way more than I ever did before. I started seeing their spirit guides around them. Their auric fields popped out at me, my own auric field. Orbs, fairies, I'd already seen all that, but that was like, that really, really turned on. And it's been that way ever since. It never turned back off again. That was something that stayed. So it enhanced everything. And to break the juice
Amazing.
cleanse was hard. It was really,
And
really hard. I broke it in 2011.
yeah,
It was
I
hard.
mean,
It was devastating for me, but I had to.
yeah. So why did you though in the end? That's what I was curious.
Because I wasn't meant to be on it for a long time. Nobody should stay on a juice cleanse for a long, long time. Number one. Number two, because my body was just starting to get too thin. It was just getting too lean. And because people were just very threatened, I wasn't going to be able to work people out. I needed to keep my clients coming in. And I was scaring people. And I just was like, oh man, I just love this. I felt so good. I was having like spontaneous out of body experiences during the day. It was just great. I'd be sitting there, all of a sudden I'd be out of my body. And I realized I needed grounding. So
Yeah.
I broke my fast with a piece of fruit and
That's what you recommend, isn't it? To like
coconut
single.
water. If you're doing a water fast, coconut water. And that's what I recommend on the juice cleanse as well. You break it with coconut water. And I didn't break it with coconut water. I broke it. I think I had like a piece of apple, which is fine. And I immediately, my entire energy crashed in the kitchen to the ground. And I got super tired. And I was like, fiber. Wow. And I had to go sit down on a chair. And I was like, okay. And I literally ate 2 bites of like, I don't know, a Lady Smith apple or lady something, whatever it was, apple. And I could smell it. I mean, just the smell. And I was like, I was really scared. I was very trepidatious. I
Did
did
you
not go back to
enjoy
cooked food.
those bites though? That's my question, because I think
It was
I'll
weird.
savor every bite after this cleanse, right?
You will, because it's 14 days. But if you're on it for 1.5 years, it's like, it was such a dichotomy. It was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to break this, but I know I have to. I have to get grounded. I'm leaving my body too easily. I got to raise these 3 kids. I can't. Part of it was me wanting to escape being in my body, and we have to be here. We have to be here. And I realized that I have to be here. So,
So
and then
yeah, so we don't recommend anybody do a year and a
don't,
half juice cleanse, right?
don't,
6 to
don't,
14
no.
days, people.
Don't, this is all me. And I'm very much treating my body like it's a science lab. That's my thing. I don't recommend it to most people. And you'll find that those of us that are leaders in the cleanse movement in the world, we are like that. We get very extreme. You don't have to get extreme in order to cleanse. You can literally do it in short amounts of time.
Yeah.
And I recommend
So
that everybody does it in balance. Go ahead, keep
yeah,
asking me questions.
yeah, so can we quickly then go
Yeah.
through benefits of the this 14-day cleanse? If you're going to
Yeah.
stick to 14 days, what's the benefits you can expect?
Well, first of all, a taste of that, you're going to feel really good. First of all, you're going to see how your mind is what's craving food. That's the number one thing. Your mind's going to crave food. You're going to clear out toxins, heavy metals, plastics, mucosal plaque, parasites. You're going to clean out your organs. You're going to reduce inflammation in your body. You're going to feel
So
more
even
comfortable in your body.
yeah, so even without the parasite cleanse, just on the juice cleanse, you will clear parasites as well.
You will. It's more effective. The reason why I will, if people ask me to do the parasite cleanse part, I'll say do it while you're on the 14-day juice cleanse, because it's just going to accelerate it. And you're a person who's like ready for this. I could tell that you were just like, no, I want to do this. So it's like, okay, do them both. And you said you had this deadline, you were doing this automatic
Yeah.
writing workshop and everything. So you wanted to do it. It's not usually the normal part of the 14-day juice cleanse, but if you want to do it, do it. You have to look within and ask your own guides. You have to go to inner authority. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to your husband. Don't listen to whomever. Listen to what your body's asking for. Listen to what your higher self is asking for. Only you know what's best for you. You're the one who's in your body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm learning to do more of this because it's not the usual thing, you know, for people to listen to their bodies. They kind of, you know, just not accustomed to that. So, but I've been constantly battling with myself inside in my mind, thinking that you know, I'm craving too much. I'm thinking about food
Mhm.
24/7.
Yeah,
I'm
you are.
just thinking of snacking, wanting snacking, even though I'm not hungry. And I was kind of just battling that in my mind and thinking, well, that's not the way to eat. I didn't feel free from food, you know what I mean? Like I felt like a bit trapped by it. So doing this juice cleanse and parasite cleanse, I thought, well, parasite, because I know that when you have parasites, you could crave all the crap stuff you were saying, you know,
Yes.
like salty, oily, and
Oh,
so
it's
it's
just
sweet
sugar,
food, you know.
sugar, starch, sugar, 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 sugar. So it's feeding the
Right.
parasites. It's sugar.
So, and I was really craving like sweets after I've eaten like a big meal and I'm so full and I really don't need any more food, but I
Yeah.
would still crave sugar on top of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I would want something sweet.
That's the sign
So,
of parasites.
yeah, so that's why I was thinking, maybe it's that. But also, I thought I want to do this juice cleanse to reset my mindset.
Mhm.
And I definitely, my mind was screaming on day one, especially. And it was like I was smelling everything, wanting everything. And it's like, you know what I mean? And day two was better. Day three was better, you know, like almost I didn't care, you know, like I mean, I did still smell the foods, but it wasn't as bad mentally, you know. So I'm wondering if it's like gonna reset my mind about food. So that's kind
Well,
of
so here's 2 points to this, and this is going to answer another one of your questions. First of all, it's easier to do this with a partner.
mm,
So my most successful clients who are battling like this, they did it with a partner, a sibling, a best friend, a spouse, a lover. They did it with a mother, son have done this together. My own son has done cleanses with me, my oldest son, and it's much easier. So to
great
do
for
it with a partner,
support. Yeah,
it's
definitely.
better to do with a small group. My first two 14-day juice cleanses back in the day were in a group, a cleanse group. And
Mm,
as I shared with you in an email, the reason why I ended up going into it as my profession is because I was consoling them while we were on it. They were going through all this deprivation. It was their first time being vegan, and they were going through all the food cravings. And I was giving them the empathy, compassion, and understanding that our actual cleanse counselors were not giving to them. And I was holding their hands, and they were having a hard time. And they were like, "You're so good at this. You should be a cleanse counselor. I feel so comforted with you. You're on the cleanse yourself and you're counseling me." And I was like, "I'm a mom and I care." And so they were like, "You should do this." And everybody just kept saying that for the two cleanses that I
mm,
went on with the group. It's so important that you have support. That's the first thing. You need support unless you're like me and you are hardcore. I'm hardcore. I don't need anybody's support in this. I'm a leader in
mm.
this. This is just natural for me. So I'm going to do all kinds of really intense things to my body to clean it out. It's just me. I will do that. I don't recommend that to anyone unless you have a personality type like mine or unless you have a life path like mine. Now, the second thing of one of your questions is how many times a year should you do this? I recommend in the beginning to start with twice a year on the equinoxes. So the March equinox and the September equinox. It's easier to do during the equinoxes when we're going into balance. When the weather is not so extreme, the solstices are extreme weathers, whether you are in the northern or the southern hemisphere, doesn't matter. It's best to do in the equinoxes. So in the northern hemisphere, the first day of spring this year is March 19th. It's usually March 19th through the 20th. And you want to start the 19th as your day one of your
Well,
prep.
that's funny because March 19 is my birthday.
Oh, well, there you go. We just froze again, which is okay. We're just going to keep
So
going. You just froze. You probably are noticing that I'm going to freeze,
yeah,
but I can hear you.
yeah, you're You
Mhm.
froze for me. I can hear you too.
It'll come back on. So
Yeah.
the
So,
the amount of times is twice
mhm,
a year, and parasite that just the 10 days, and there's a reason why we do only 10 days of those parasite herbs, because if you do parasitic herbs any more than 10 days, those herbs can become toxic to your liver, especially wormwood. You only do wormwood 10 days in a row, and then you have to stop. Otherwise, it's too much of a taxing
right.
overload on your liver. And they tell you that if you talk to any herbalist, they'll tell you that be very careful with wormwood, especially when you're combining them all. So 10 days
Mhm.
with the parasite herbs.